So it was a good thing when you're here after a fight. I'm trying not to get fat this time around. I always blow up to 68, and I got like no abs.
Is that your concern right now?
That's my going to Cabo on Tuesday. I gotta look good on the beach.
Focus.
Instagram.
Dedication.
So, Aljamain, that fight was kind of a long time coming. Now it's in the books. What's your takeaway from it?
It's exactly what I told him it would be. When he called me out a couple years ago, about 5 years ago, he was talking shit about my striking, and I told him, I was like, dude, I just started this sport. I'm a wrestler. You don't have to tell me my striking is not up to par. That doesn't mean I'm afraid of anybody. At the end of the day, we all step in that cage and we're all looking to fight. So, and I told him if there was any time for him to fight me, it should have been a couple years ago when I called him out, when I was just learning how to really, really strike. Now, I think with anybody in this division, I think I can hang with anybody, and I think I can beat anybody in this division for sure.
Things started getting wild there in a second. You guys sort of had him against the fence, and you're swinging him, and then his mouthpiece kept coming out. Is that something that started getting on your nerves?
I was getting pissed because I felt like the second time he did it, it was to take a little bit of a break. And I looked at him, and I kind of gave him that look like, you did that one on purpose, because he was against the cage, and I was landing some good shots, and I was willing to burn my arms out to try to find the money shot that was going to either catch him in the liver or come up with the head kick. My coaches were calling for it while he was against the cage, and I felt it. And then mouthpiece on the floor for the second time. So yeah, I hope the crowd enjoyed that one, that little exchange.
Yeah, the referee was actually getting a little bit of stick online, saying that he made some questionable split-ups and that he jumped in too quick with the mouthpiece. What did you think of the referee, or did he not even enter your brain at all?
I didn't, at that point, I didn't give a shit. It was more so the first time he split the mouthpiece out, and I've seen him do it in previous fights. And the second time, it's like, dude, keep your fucking mouthpiece in your mouth, please, so we can do what we're here to do. I don't know, whatever. The ref decided to stop the action. That's the thing. The refs could do whatever the hell they want. If they want to wave the fight off, they could wave the fight off, and they're honestly the ones with almost all the power in there.
You said your coaches were calling for that head kick, and I believe earlier this week, well, you said he gets kicked in the head every single fight. How much of that did you work on specifically for that?
Oh, we worked a ton of head kicks. I just didn't want to overcommit because he's short, he's stocky, and he's explosive. The main thing I was trying to do, if I threw the head kick, was to lead with the knee. Just in case he crashed the kick, the knee could help give a little bit of a buffer so he couldn't get a clean, direct strike. He clipped me a couple of times me going for it, but like I said, leading with the knee, it helps with the chamber, and helps with the defense, and helps control the range a little bit better.
So when you're watching that tape and you're seeing that, and you're actually in there, it's obviously different. Were those openings there that you had seen?
100%. I think I clipped him a couple times, but nothing flush. But you get a little excited when you see it and you hear the crowd kind of get into it, and you're like, oh shit, that must have been really, really close. I think I threw like a hook kick and I threw a bunch of crazy shit, but I wanted to do a little bit more flashy stuff. Al was calling for the spin, and I was trying to set it up off the spinning, off the side kick, but like I said, he's a crafty, experienced striker. He's been striking since he was a young kid, you know. The last thing I want to do is get overconfident again and start feeling myself, and then next you know, the fans are going to just be like, oh, well, he should have just stuck to what he's good at, just the wrestling. Like, this is mixed martial arts. We're here to grow and put on entertaining fights.
Sorry, speaking of fans.
Woo!
All right. Speaking of fans, how different would this fight have been if this was anywhere in the East Coast?
Ah, man, it might have been New Jersey versus New York in the stands again. That would have been a wild one, but it's cool. We brought the East Coast battle to the West Coast, and like I said, man, I just hope it was a great performance. I know the first round started a little slow, but I had to do what I had to do to get the guys, take away his explosiveness, and the only way I could do that was take it away with some grappling love, and you know, gave him a little bit of affection, hugged him, squeezed him a little bit, caressed him, and then, you know, went to work on the feet.
You were champion Cage Fury, and then I believe he was right after you, correct? And that was like 5 years ago. I'm sure you've been thinking about each other for 5 years. Is it, I don't want to say weird, but now you don't have to think about it anymore?
For sure. I do think we're going to end up fighting again in the future, for sure. It's just a grudge match. We're both young. I think both of us are 29. And the whole beef between us started with like Cage Fury. You know, I was a ring combat champion. He was a ring combat champion. I was a Cage Fury champion. He was a Cage Fury champion. We were both ranked 1 and 2 as prospects before we both got signed. And you just kind of had that rivalry where we just knew eventually one day our paths would cross, and today it just happened to be that day.
And you said afterwards it's time for people to start putting a bit of respect on your name. Where did that sort of, why did you say that? Why do you feel you're not being respected?
Hey, you get the trolls, man, and people see me I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I talk shit back to the fans, but it's all fun and games. I enjoy that. You know, my downtime, I like to engage with the fans, and you know, some of the fans appreciate it, some of them don't. I don't really get upset about it, but you get the ones that, you know, they talk shit, and they, especially leading up to this fight, oh, these are the 2 victims that Marlon murdered, they're surprised we're both still alive, shit like that, but it's, you know, people are going to say what they want to say, and I hope those guys are starting to realize, like, yeah, that was as fluky as it gets, and I would love to run that one back.
After the fight, you called Marlon out, and you said you want to run it back. What are we going to see differently this time from the Funk Master since your last fight with him?
I think I respect his game a lot more. I think that fight would have shaped up to be a really, really competitive fight. I'm not saying the outcome could have been different. I'm not saying I would have won, but it would have been a much different fight than ending like that about a minute into the first round. That was, honestly, it was really shit, and I didn't respect the guy. And when this game is super humbling, and it will, you know, it's the highest highs, the lowest lows, and that was probably one of the lowest moments of my career. But I kept it in perspective. It was my mistake. It wasn't really what he did. It was what I did. And like I said, I just know that fight would have been a much better fight for the fans, and that's all I want. I just want an opportunity to actually put on a show for the fans.
If TJ fights Henry, when Henry comes up, like there's talk, and Marlon's now on the sideline, doesn't want to fight you again because he already stopped you once.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Like take another fight, sit out?
Well, you got Cody Garbrandt. He's fighting Pedro Munoz. That's another motherfucker who's been talking a hell of a lot of shit. I lost to Caraway, and it's nothing worse than a man who's riding high on his horse and kicking a man when he's down. That was the first loss of my career, and he made sure to stick the stake in my heart and kept kicking that shit in. So I'm glad karma came back and humbled him twice over. So, you know, if he comes out with the win, it'd be nice to do it for a 3rd time.
With the division being wide open, how much do you think this win puts you into that top 5 and maybe possibly yourself getting in there with TJ?
With another win?
Yeah.
I think I got to be next. You know, if I win another one, I think I'm knocking on the door and kicking that shit over and then some, burn the fucking house down. Fuck. What the hell else do I have to do to get a goddamn title shot, you know? You know, I put the work in, man. I'm working with I believe, the best team in this entire game. We're the Long Island Stud Muffins. You know, we have fun, we break balls, but when it's time to work, we go out there and we work. And we're, at least for me, I can speak for myself, I'm super emotional, man. I put so much into this. Walking out of the cage alone today, I could have just burst into tears, and that's just how I get like that, because I put so much into this. It's I live for this, you know.
Your 2 gyms in New York, there's been a bit of a long-standing rivalry, not just between you and Jimmy, but between Tiger Schulman's and Sarah Longo. How gratifying is it for you to go back to Uniondale and saying, look, we just took out one of their top dogs?
Now I could go back home and go to the gym, kick open the door, and say, Spartans, what is your profession? Ahoo, ahoo, ahoo. That's what I'm gonna do when I get back home to Long Island.
Can Cody beat Munoz?
I don't know. Munoz is a tough dude. He's got those calf kicks. He's willing to cover up and crush those legs until you're crippled and throw those front kicks to the solar plex. He's stopping guys. He's dropping guys. And I think we made our debut the same night. And I've been keeping my eye on him for a very long time because I knew our paths would cross eventually. And I could see him coming up with the upset. You know, Garbrandt doesn't really kick very much. And I think that could be the difference. And Garbrandt is a talented wrestler, but Pedro catches guys when they shoot in and his pressure, you know. It's a very interesting matchup. Cody's thinking to take the fight where he could piece somebody up. And I think he was looking for the easiest matchup that he thought would be the easiest. But I hope he makes sure he's done his homework because Pedro Munoz is a tough out.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.